my family, my studies, everything, and all of it happened just because I helped my father at his work. And I wish I could just travel back in time or erase what I found out about him from my memory. It was hard to find anyone who didn't admire my father. Everyone did. My mother, me, his colleagues and partners. You see, he was a rich businessman with his own company, but he started from nothing. So of course, it's hard not to admire a man who did everything on his own and still remained a loving husband and father. And I totally wanted to be like him. I didn't want to take what I had for granted and wanted to be as hardworking as he was. And my parents knew this. So my mom gave me this idea to ask my father to become an unpaid intern at his company during the summer to learn the ropes. I'm not gonna lie, I loved this idea, and I thought Dad would love it too. But he was so hesitant about it, like he wasn't sure if I was needed there and said that I should relax while I'm young. It was weird because he was always saying how a man should be hardworking, even in his youth. I thought this was a test, but of course the truth was much darker. Well, anyway, me and Mom finally got him to make me an intern, and I was working very hard helping with everything I could. And soon, everyone at the office started to like me so much, saying how much I resembled my father with my hard work. And I could see that my father was very proud of me for exceeding his expectations. I passed the test, I thought, and it made me work even harder. I knew I was working for my future. But soon something happened. You see, my father was very strict about dividing his work and personal life. He would never talk about his work while at home because he was fully concentrating on us, like a perfect father and a perfect husband. One day my father went out to some meeting, and he was supposed to take me home that day. I thought he was busy, so I decided to just wait for him at his office since it was unlocked, and I had been in there many times before. While I was waiting there, the phone rang. It was in his desk drawer, so I decided to ignore it. But it kept calling again and again, like every 3 minutes. And I got tired of it, so I decided to answer and to say that my dad was away, thinking maybe it was Mom. I opened the drawer and looked at the phone, and it was weird. You see, my father had 2 phones. One was a personal phone, and the other a work phone. And this phone, I had never seen it before. I answered the phone, and a woman's voice said, "Hey, want to come over today, darling?" I quickly turned the phone off. It wasn't my mom. I didn't know what to do or think, so I just left the office and never came back. My mom tried to ask me what happened, but I just couldn't tell her. And I knew my father knew, but he just acted like nothing happened. That was the reason he didn't want me working for him. From that point forward, I just actively avoided my parents because it was too painful for me to see them talking to each other and smiling. And I couldn't just tell my mom because I found out about it by snooping around. I started to hate my dad and even my mom for not seeing what was happening. One day, my mom confronted me for avoiding them and spending a lot of time outside of the house. I guess she thought I picked up bad habits or something. I was trying to explain, but she was worried for me and started to check my bags and everything else for something like cigarettes. My dad just kept silent because he knew what was really happening and why I was acting that way. But he didn't say anything, and I could just feel my respect for him dwindling away completely. I was so angry, I said, "Ask Dad what's going on." There was silence for a long time. Then they left and went into their room, and I had to listen to them shouting at each other for the whole night. And it was my fault. I mean, was it bad that they were living a lie if they were happy? Then they tried to act normal, like nothing happened, but I saw how everything had changed. After a few months, my mom said they were getting a divorce, and she didn't really explain because she knew I knew. Now they live separately, and I live with my mom, and she is very unhappy. My dad called me recently and told me that I did the right thing by telling her the truth. He also said that he couldn't work normally after the divorce and that he doesn't know if he'll be able to keep the company. And I just keep asking myself if it was my fault. It was my dad who was cheating, but I don't know. I don't know anything anymore, except that I would never cheat because you will be caught eventually, no matter how good you are at hiding it, and it will ruin everything. Please share this video so people will know how easy it is to destroy a family. And if you already know, share
lips. So I want to just give her a little bit of that. Okay, I think this one's good. When I have an itch on my face. And this is how I'm scratching it. The emoji looks so weird.
Hi everyone, I'm Mark, and over the past year, my life has taken a few cruel twists and really made me grow up at 16 years old. I'm pretty sure that being a teenager is not an easy task for anyone, and so I hope my story will help you survive your own crisis. I've always lived together with my mum. She never had a chance to go to college because she had me at such a young age. So she's had to work hard as a waitress in a cafe, and sometimes even clean other people's houses just to provide for us. Even for our tiny town, her salary was barely enough to pay for our basic needs. We lived in the smallest apartment ever, but I never felt miserable. Mum always told me that a good education is the only thing that will pave the way for me to have a prosperous life. I clearly remember one day when my mum told me that she was offered a 1 in a million chance to finish her education in college and finally get a diploma while earning some extra money and working directly for the college. With her new salary, we'll be able to not only live better, but to even save enough money for me to choose any college I want. There was only one problem. She had to move to another state. After a long family discussion, the final decision was made. At the airport, I wished Mum good luck with settling into a new place, and moved in with my grandpa. We used to spend a lot of time together when I was little, and I always loved talking with him. We pretty successfully dealt with all the housing stuff. Grandpa helped me with my homework, and even taught me how to cook. Now, living at Grandpa's place, I was also geographically closer to my school, and so I could save some money on gas. Mum called us almost every evening. She was doing great at her new job. I'd also started to look through some information about universities, in order to pick the best option, even though I still had a couple of years left before that even happened. The three of us were pretty sure that things were going great, until one scary night. Grandpa suddenly didn't feel well, and lost consciousness. I was scared to death while calling the ambulance. Mum came as soon as she could. It turned out that Grandpa had had a stroke, and as a consequence, he couldn't walk properly and had slurred speech. The doctor said that there was a chance that his condition could improve, but obviously, he couldn't go without special care. It was a hard choice for my mum, because if she returned home, we'd no longer have enough money for Grandpa's rehabilitation. The only other option was for her to leave him with me. She only had a few months before she finally got her diploma, and hence the opportunity to earn more. So, I convinced Mum that I would deal with everything here on my own, if we could just hire a special caregiver for Grandpa. And that's what we did. Mum got back to work, and I had to grow up fast and be an adult. This, apart from everything else, meant no hanging out with friends. The sick nurse came to stay with Grandpa only while I was in school, and every day after school I rushed home, because any extra hours for the nurse would cost us more money. It was enormously hard to take care of such a seriously sick person. I had to feed him, give him his medicines, and even change his diapers. There were times when I got furious about my life. I remember how once I broke down and yelled at my grandpa because I had a lot of homework to do, but he insisted that I read to him. In a rage, I called my grandpa a burden, and immediately felt sorry for what I'd said when I saw the tears in his eyes. That night, I even cried like a baby. I was thinking that maybe I'd call my mum and have her come back and help me. But something stopped me. This was the first and last moment when I let my grandpa down. At night, I would read a lot about the rehabilitation process on the internet, and during the day I would try to practice what I'd learned with Grandpa. I always did my homework next to him, and pretended that he was really helping me. I thought it would make him feel like he was an important part of my daily life. Our neighbours, by the way, turned out to be very supportive. From time to time they'd visit my grandpa and talk to him. I noticed he'd be feeling better after hearing some fresh news from the neighbourhood. Some of them even bought us treats, and none of them, luckily, ever called social services, since I was still underage. Otherwise, we would have had some major problems. Today, I'm happy to say that there's some notable improvements in Grandpa's condition. His speech is almost totally recovered, and he can move his right leg a little. His doctor says that if we continue what we're doing, if he continues his therapy, in a few months he'll be able to take a few steps of his own. Mum is about to get her diploma too. She's already earned enough money from my college, and even got an excellent job offer in a city close to our town, so soon she'll be back home. Life seems to be getting back to normal. Recently, Grandpa told me that he dreams of seeing me as a college graduate. The only thing he wants more than that is to be able to walk into my graduation. This has become our common goal. I hope my story will give you enough strength to follow your own dreams and overcome all your difficulties. Don't forget to click the like button and leave a comment under the video. We'll read it together with Grandpa.
TikTok loves Christmas. You can be a Christmas tree, a snowflake,
or even a gingerbread man.
so download TikTok now and get festive!
Hello guys, I'm Sam. I don't feel that great about the story I'm going to tell you right now. Or rather about the way events took a turn